Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Ultimate Goal podcast, where we tell you insider stories from the perspective of high achieving athletes and their support staff. These are all athletes within the NCAA or professional realm, so get excited to hear some of these special stories of how athletes got to where they are.
Today I'm interviewing Sara Gershman. She is an athletic trainer for the NCAA teams at Quinnipiac University in Connecticut. Enjoy her story.
Because I love sports, but I also love the medical side of things. So I really wanted to go to med school, but decided that being an athletic trainer, I could make a bigger impact on people's lives, and watching someone return to the field or the court after their injury is really rewarding. Very, very rigorous, really hard. You are in about 18 credits a semester, plus have relatively a full-time job with your clinical rotation. So it's mainly just work and school constantly. But if you love what you're doing and want to keep pursuing it, it's definitely worth it. I was a student athletic trainer. I got a girl who, about the second week into practice, she tore her ACL. So I went through the entire rehab process with her. So before surgery and then after surgery, getting her back to playing. So that was definitely rewarding, just seeing her be able to go back on the court and actually running, jumping and everything was really awesome to watch.
And she's back in the game now.
Yeah, she played the full season this year. Our team is very close knit. Like if you need anything, everyone is always there to help. And especially as a first year athletic trainer right out of school, I have a lot of questions constantly. I didn't realize how much athletic training is not like orthopedic injuries, but a lot of mental health situations that you have to deal with on a daily basis. And especially with COVID, just having people there and working together and being able to call one of my other fellow GAs or someone else athletic trainer on staff and just asking what to do, how do I do this situation, they're always there to help no matter what. I have a really good relationship with both. I work with two teams. I work with our acrobatics and tumbling team and our women's rugby team. Both of them, I have really good relationships. They all come to me with everything and anything, which sometimes is a lot because both teams, acrobatics and tumbling, is about 40 girls on the team, and rugby I think is almost 30. So that's 70 athletes right there, who all come to me for support or injuries, whatever. And so I feel like having a good relationship with all of them helps with them being honest with me, but also me being able to be honest with them. Absolutely. I think I became way more independent than I was previously, but also my confidence and just my abilities to treat and just have professional conversations with coaches, staff, administration, and then as well as athletes grew tremendously. I'll walk you through a game day because those are a lot more rigorous than a practice day. But for a game day, we usually arrive about 2-3 hours before the game. Actually, probably more than that, because usually they need to be out on the field an hour and a half before the game. So usually 3-4 hours prior to a game. You do a lot of pre-treatment. So whether that be manual stuff, kind of like massage or heat packs, electrical stim, doing their rehabs with them prior to game, and then taping everything and anything depending on what teams it is. Some teams are much more tape heavy than others. And then making sure there's water, ice out on the field, having an AED splint bag and a cart out there just in case someone is injured. We have the necessary things to deal with those injuries. And so then during the game, you're just always on making sure everyone's okay. If there's a nosebleed, a injury, someone goes down on the field, you have to be ready at all times. And then after the game, usually a lot of post treatments are usually ice, new evaluations of new injuries that happened during the game, and then you're done. So it's usually for a game day, it's usually probably about a 12-hour day. For practice, it's a little less, but it's still about it's an hour usually before practice doing pre-treatments and then an hour usually afterwards. Definitely changed what my job description was, not in writing, but just in general. It caused a whole nother aspect of my job. Instead of dealing with, someone coming in saying, oh, I have a runny nose, I have the cold, you have to automatically assume that they have COVID. So if someone is sick, you have to take the proper precautions. So we are doing rapid testing. If someone is symptomatic, we help with the PCR testing. And then we also have to evaluate once someone has COVID, making sure they're okay. And then after COVID, we have to do an EKG on them to make sure their heart is okay, because there are some things that can happen to your heart after COVID. And then also looking at your blood to make sure there's nothing abnormal from the disease. So it also changed a lot of like the general medical things that we have to do. And then also it has changed a lot of the mental health aspects of my job, because there's so many more unknowns for all these athletes, and changes in schedules, changes with everything, especially like if you have to contact trace a team or shut them down for 10 days or 2 weeks for COVID related purposes. That is really tough, but you have to be on top of it, making sure everyone is okay. Right now, there is a fair amount. I think there are relatively a little bit more females than males in like the general athletic training population, but in professional sports, it's definitely the opposite of that. So like in the NFL, NBA, MLB, there's definitely a lot more male representation than females. But recently, I think it was 2 Super Bowls ago, there for the 49ers and the Chiefs, there were 3 female head athletic trainers on the field. For where I work, I don't feel any kind of difference between my male athletic trainers and I. Everyone is very, very good. Everyone is super open. There's no sexism that I've felt within my realm, but I also work with some incredible human beings. In the next 4 years, I hope to be still in college athletics. I love college athletics. It's really fun. It's definitely fast paced, and there's a lot going on constantly. And so being a assistant athletic trainer somewhere in a big, hopefully D1 college, possibly working football, which is my favorite sport.
Thanks for tuning into the Ultimate Goal podcast this week. We plan to post weekly episodes on Wednesdays before noon, and you can find them right here on our channel. If you click the subscribe button below, you'll get updates telling you when we've posted, as well as you can click to follow our social media accounts on this page as well. See you next week!